Principle number 5 is the pool. Best buyers are the very first buyers to come through your listings, aren't they? In fact, that's a line we use with sellers. Best people that ever see are the very first ones. Why is that? It's one thing to throw that line out there to people. It's another thing to be able to explain to them or have a seller go, well, why is that? Well, I don't know. It's just the way it's always been. The best people are the first people. There's a reason why. And it deals with the law before that or the rule before that. The best people to come through your house are the first ones because the first people that come through your house are the ones that are running out of time.
And have been looking.
And have been looking and are emotionally involved in this transaction. Who do you get looking at your house 3 months in? The pragmatic guy who's just starting the process. Does that make sense? I mean, you've experienced it, right? At any given time, when you list your next listing today, there's a pool of people out there that are looking for a house like you just listed. In any price range, there's a pool of people. The pool may be very deep and very wide and very big, and it may be very small. If you get a rural property on 150 acres out in the middle of nowhere, it's a very small pool of buyers. But if you list a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-car garage, all brick, 1,800 square feet, I'm guessing there's a good pool of buyers for that. So the only question then is, when you introduce that house to the market, are you the best one? When I list your house today, are you the best one on the market in that price range? And that will play itself out here in a little bit in some of these other laws. Principle 6 is manipulation. You guys unknowingly manipulate the real estate market. Maybe you knowingly you manipulate it, but you manipulate it. You manipulate it in a hallway conversation in a real estate office. You manipulate it by simply somebody coming up and saying, what do you got going on? Well, I'm showing property today. Oh, what price range? I'm looking, I got a show between 150 and 200. Oh, really, where? And they tell you, oh, I just showed that the other day. Hey, if such and such is still on the market, you need to take a look. My people should have bought that one. I can't believe they didn't. Oh, that one that smells like cat urine? You don't even bother, right?
We like those kind of warnings.
Well, no, we do like those kind of warnings, don't we? And by the way, we're manipulating the market, and what that seller with the cat pee smelling house doesn't know is they don't know those conversations are happening.
Well, that's their agent's fault for not telling them.
Okay, I'll give you that. It is their agent's fault. But when should the agent have told them that?
At the beginning, before they listed the property.
At the very beginning of the process, because it is exponentially harder to have these conversations with people after you've been working with them. Both with buyers and with sellers. It is exponentially harder to have the serious conversation with a buyer about what their true expectations better be for their budget than it is showing them a bunch of houses they can't afford, and vice versa for sellers, right? We're never bigger stars with people than when we're at that initial meeting. Principle 7 is the ripening vine. Buyers usually miss out on 1 or 2 houses before they buy. And why is that? Go back to principle number 2. It's because in the very beginning they saw a couple of really great houses, but they weren't in a hurry. Right? And we used to deal, and we will deal with this again at some point, when interest rates are a big driver of a real estate market, and right now they're not because they're still really low. By the way, the best market for a realtor, interest rate wise, is when the rate ticks up a little bit and then drops down a little bit. And then it ticks up a little bit and then it drops down a little bit. When rates stay low, what happens? Nobody buys. It's not a driver because it's like, well, why don't I just wait? I mean, if anything, the pressure is rates might go down. I could even buy more house. And I'm not in a hurry. So let me know when something new comes up. And that tends to be the walk and talk we have with buyers. So the word is right now the Fed is going to raise the rate before the end of the year, right?
Right.
Watch what happens to this real estate market when rates start ticking up just a little bit. These people will come out of the woodwork trying to buy things.
We hope. We're hoping so.
Well, they will. No, they will, because they always have. It's a law. I mean, it just is. It's like when you own a stock, and the stock is going up. You don't sell it. But as soon as it drops off its high a little bit, you're like, you know what, that's enough profit, I'll take it and go. It works inversely to the stock market. When rates are falling or level, nobody buys. When rates start back up, everybody jumps off the fence and starts buying. So actually interest rate raises in a little bit are good for us. Number 8, payment. Most buyers don't care what the actual sales price is. They only care about down payment, monthly payment.
Yeah,
We are a payment-driven economy today.
that's the truth.
It is not about the value of a home anymore. That plays into the hands of sellers. So if I can get a buyer that's emotionally involved in a house, and they can afford the payment, and I got the best one, they're going to buy it, and they're probably going to pay really close to full price for it. Because they're afraid not to, because they've missed out on a couple. And this is how these laws all start kind of feeding off one another. Principle number 9 is ratio. Because buyers don't care what the sales price is, properties sell for 96 to 98% of asking price when they finally sell. When they finally sell, they sell for very close to asking price, don't they? Principle number 10 is time. Time is not a seller's friend. Agents deal with new inventory, not old. Okay? You guys deal with brand new inventory. I guarantee you, most agents get a good look every day at just the new ones that come on the market. You don't really, you kind of acknowledge the price reductions, but they're not near as exciting to you as the new ones that come up. Right? We deal with new inventory. So it's our job to make sure that our sellers are positioned properly in the beginning of this process, because that's all you guys are dealing with. And by the way, the buyers can only deal with what? What you deal with. Buyers don't have any idea of knowing about price reductions unless you tell them, and you don't even care about it anymore because you're on to the new stuff, because you mentally, subconsciously, you figure, well, if it was good, it'd already be gone. Right? Principle number 11 is the flip of a coin. In 2013, and I just don't have 2014 numbers yet because the NARA study is not out yet. And I'll change all this, but I already know that one's not going to change because it hadn't changed for like 10 years. In 2013, 53% of the listings sold at the initial asking price, nationally. 47% of the time there was a price reduction that had to take place before the house sold, nationally. People only do this 4 or 5 times in their life. Buyers have access to tremendous amounts of information. Sellers don't have access to as much information, and what they do is wrong. It's a estimate. Right? So whose fault is this? It's our fault as an industry. We've never really learned how to present price to people in a manner that they're like, oh, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. I'm not going to argue with you about it. I see how you came up with the number. That's what we're going to talk about next month. How do you do that? What are the key correlations that you pull out? Principle number 12 is expectations. The condition of a home needs to be at the market. Buyers will not pay extra money for features they do not expect to see, and we covered this a little bit earlier. Right?
Yep.
So when a seller goes, but I've got a sprinkling system.
So
That's great. But in this price range, buyers don't expect to see sprinkling systems. I'm sorry. I've got a security system. You know what? People don't expect to see it. It's not a qualifier. It's not a driver. If sellers understood what the key components were to how a buyer worked their way through the market, they would start to realize what matters and what doesn't. Right? Yeah, I mean, the best house to put on the market is a very vanilla house, right? Beige carpet, beige walls. It may not be exactly what I want, but it fits. I can put any kind of furniture in a house with beige carpet and beige walls. Principle number 13, probably the biggest one of all, is bracketing. People operate in price brackets because they are they are driven by their monthly payment. Okay? The brackets are under $100,000, it's $5,000 brackets. 100 to 200, it's $10,000 brackets.